A simple numerical designation, Area 51. For decades, those two words have been the ultimate shorthand for government secrecy, crashed alien spacecraft, and shadowy men in black. This base, deep in the Nevada desert near Groom Lake, was officially unacknowledged and disavowed by the U.S. government for almost 60 years, until the CIA finally admitted its existence in 2013.
The public narrative, the one about aliens and Hangar 18, is a captivating piece of mythology. But the sources tell us there are two stories here. The second, verifiable history is one of espionage and engineering that fundamentally shifted the balance of global power. And here is the crucial twist. The mythological history exists only because of the unprecedented success and secrecy of the first. Area 51 is guarded by extreme physical and legal protections. The airspace above it, designated R4808N, is one of the most restricted zones on Earth. The perimeter guards, sometimes called camo dudes, patrol the boundaries. And the signs are unambiguous. Deadly force is authorized to protect assets vital to national security. So what exactly were they protecting? The true history of Area 51 begins in the mid-1950s, driven by the intense paranoia of the Cold War and the fear of a bomber gap with the Soviet Union. The U.S. urgently needed a way to spy on what the Soviets were building behind the Iron Curtain. This mission was Project Aquatone. The goal, set by the CIA and Lockheed's legendary engineer Clarence Johnson, was to develop a revolutionary new aircraft, the Lockheed U-2 Strategic Reconnaissance Plane. This aircraft had to fly higher than any Soviet interceptor or missile. In April 1955, the search for a testing ground landed on a desolate salt flat known as Groom Lake in the southern Nevada desert. The facility was tucked inside the existing high-security perimeter of the Atomic Energy Commission's Nevada Proving Ground, a bureaucratic genius move to hide the new site. To make the isolation sound better, Kelly Johnson, ironically, nicknamed the new base Paradise Ranch. Testing of the U-2 began in July 1955. It was a marvel, capable of soaring to altitudes over 70,000 feet, far higher than commercial airliners, which flew at 20,000 to 30,000 feet, and military fighters, which topped out at around 40,000 feet. This extraordinary capability, the success of Area 51's first secret, was the direct and accidental cause of its second secret, the UFO myth. When high-flying pilots saw bright silver specks far above them, they were baffled. They were seeing the sun reflect off the U-2's silver wings. The Air Force, in coordination with the CIA, began explaining these sightings as natural phenomena, or conveniently, flying saucers. They preferred the public to believe in aliens rather than have the Soviets learn the truth, that the United States possessed an unstoppable spy plane. Area 51 was never meant for just one plane. After the U-2 became operational, the base transformed into the proving ground for a generational pipeline of revolutionary black projects. The focus quickly shifted from high-altitude flight to speed and eventually invisibility. By 1958, the vulnerability of the U-2 was anticipated, leading to Project Gusto and its successor, Project Oxcart. Tested at Groom Lake, the A-12 Oxcart was a quantum leap, a high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft capable of speeds exceeding Mach 3. It was so advanced that to build it, the CIA created dummy companies to buy the specialized lightweight titanium needed, ironically sourcing it directly from the Soviet Union. The A-12 was engineered to be less visible to radar from day one. To test its radar cross-section, the key to stealth, a full-scale model was subjected to 18 months of rigorous radar analysis on a pylon called the Pole at Area 51. Secrecy around Oxcart was paramount. Workers used code words like articles for planes, and pilots were assigned pseudonames, sometimes taken from gravestones in Europe. But the true revolution to emerge from Area 51 was stealth. After the Vietnam War revealed U.S. vulnerability to Soviet-made missiles, the highest national priority became creating an aircraft invisible to radar. This led to the Have Blue demonstrator in 1977, and then directly to the world's first operational stealth aircraft, the F-117 Nighthawk. Its bizarre angular design, made of flat panels and coated in specialized radar-absorbing material, was tested and developed in complete secrecy at Groom Lake. The F-117 achieved operational capability in 1983. For 5 years, the U.S. Air Force possessed a deployable fleet of invisible fighters that the world knew nothing about. Maintaining this level of secrecy for decades required more than just fences. It needed a logistical black hole. Meet the Janet airline. Personnel working at Area 51, estimated at over 2,000 employees, do not drive to work. They board a fleet of unassuming white Boeing 737s and smaller Beechcrafts at a private terminal in Las Vegas. These planes use the call sign Janet, rumored to stand for just another non-existent terminal. This air shuttle is a critical security measure. It creates a sterile corridor, enforcing a profound separation between the employee's work life and home life. Beyond the logistical infrastructure, the base is guarded by legal invisibility. Area 51 is shielded by presidential determinations that exempt the base from all federal and local environmental disclosure laws. This legal status was used to block lawsuits by former workers who claimed they were exposed to toxic fumes from burning radar-absorbing materials during the F-117 program. The government essentially said it could not confirm or deny the base's activities, making it legally invisible to judicial oversight. The physical security is even more intense. Any vehicle driving near the Groom Lake Road is detected by magnetic sensors which alert the guardhouse. And for those who try to penetrate the boundary, former security guards have confirmed that trespassers in the past faced the authorization of deadly force.
So how did this highly effective aircraft testing facility become known as the home of alien crash retrievals? We must travel back to 1947, 8 years before Area 51 even existed. In Roswell, New Mexico, a rancher discovered unusual debris, tinfoil, rubber strips, and sticks. The local Roswell Army Airfield issued an extraordinary press release. RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. The military immediately retracted the story, claiming the debris was just a common weather balloon. But this was also a cover story. In the 1990s, the U.S. Air Force finally revealed the truth. The debris was from Project Mogul. This top-secret program used high-altitude balloons equipped with microphones to listen for sound waves from Soviet nuclear bomb tests. The government's secrecy in 1947 was not to hide aliens, but to hide this crucial intelligence-gathering technology from the Soviet Union. Roswell in 1947 and Area 51 in 1955 are completely separate in time, geography, and purpose. So how did they become inextricably linked? Starting in the late 1970s and 80s, ufologists revived the obscure Roswell story. They theorized that the crashed alien ship cinch and its occupants were salvaged by the military. They then asked, where would the military take such a prize? The answer, logically, had to be its most secret, most secure, and most advanced test facility. By the 1980s, that base was without question Area 51. Area 51 became the mythological Hangar 18, the non-existent location where the alien tech was stored. While Roswell provided the what, it was one man who provided the where and the how,
transforming Area 51 from a vague mystery into a detailed, tangible conspiracy. Bob Lazar. In 1989, Lazar appeared in explosive interviews claiming to be a physicist hired by the government. His claims were specific and sensational. He claimed to work at S4, a secret facility built into a mountainside near Papoose Lake, just south of Groom Lake. There, he said there were 9 flying saucers of extraterrestrial origin. His job? To reverse engineer their propulsion system, an anti-gravity reactor. He claimed this reactor was powered by a stable isotope of a super-heavy element, element 115. Lazar's story became the blueprint for the modern Area 51 myth. However, investigative findings reveal fatal flaws in his narrative. He claims master's degrees from MIT and Caltech, yet neither university has any record of him. His credibility was further damaged by criminal convictions, including pandering and selling illegal chemicals. Most famously, his Element 115 claim seemed validated when scientists successfully synthesized Element 115 in 2003, naming it moscovium. But the truth is devastating to his story. Synthesized moscovium is highly radioactive and incredibly unstable, with a half-life of less than a second, the exact opposite of the stable usable fuel Lazar described. Despite this, Lazar's story endures. It is the perfect conspiracy. Any evidence against him, such as missing university records, is simply reinterpreted as proof that the government successfully erased his history to discredit him.
Bob Lazar's script, combined with the government's verifiable secrecy, was embedded into the global consciousness by pop culture blockbusters like Independence Day. The myth became so pervasive that in 2019, millions signed up for the jokey Storm Area 51 event. The ultimate irony is that while the public was focusing on fictional 1947 saucers, the real secret history of Area 51 was continuing, unabated. The base is not a museum. It is operational, expanding, and actively developing the next generation of black projects. Satellite imagery confirms Area 51 is expanding with new hangars and support facilities. But in January 2022, the base slipped up. Commercial satellites captured an image of a mysterious, exotic, delta-shaped aircraft parked on the apron of a new hangar complex. The aircraft, roughly 65 feet long, featured an elegantly curved wing and, most significantly, no tail. Defense analysts believe this design is highly consistent with notional concepts for the Next Generation Air Dominance program, America's 6th-generation fighter, or a hypersonic technology demonstrator. This sighting is hard, public evidence that Area 51 continues its historical role as the proving ground for the next paradigm-shifting aircraft. Supporting this secret work is an equally secret aircraft known as RAT-55, or Radar Airborne Testbed. This unique Boeing 737, fitted with advanced radar technology, is a flying laboratory used to evaluate the stealth signatures of new aircraft, like the B-21 Raider and the NGAD fighter. Tellingly, RAT-55 has been tracked taxiing to a real facility at Groom Lake, a building that analysts now call Hangar 18, named decades after the mythological location. Area 51 has given the U.S. the technological edge for more than half a century, producing the high-altitude U-2, the high-speed A-12, and the invisible F-117. The nature of secrecy has changed. The CIA acknowledged the base's existence in 2013. But the game is no longer about hiding the base, it's about hiding the operations. And this brings us back to the symbiosis between the two histories. The verifiable secret history created the mythological secret history. And today, the public's decades-long fascination with aliens and little green men provides the perfect cultural camouflage.
It distracts and deflects, allowing the real work to continue uninterrupted. The development of the next generation of air power, hidden in plain sight in the new hangars just down the runway.